29 straight wins, back-to-back national champions. What's that coming down the track? It's me, the shit in the red and black. Ain't nothing finer in the land than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan. Go Dogs! Go Dogs! Give me Alabama to break home.
Theo, you're on. What happened just now? Bro. What just happened? Unbelievable. Do I have to pick?
Yeah,
baby. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to ZayMoolaSportsPodcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and y'all, I'm here to give y'all my 2024 college football prediction. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. And y'all, this year, the college football playoff has been expanded from 4 teams to 12 teams. So I just want to make y'all aware of that for the people that might not have known that. All right, y'all, coming in at number 12, I have the Liberty Flames making the playoffs. And y'all, when I look at the group of 5 teams, a lot of good teams. You have Liberty, you have Memphis, you got Texas State, you got Boise State, you got App State, y'all. You got all the state teams, right? But no, seriously, a lot of good group of 5 teams. But y'all, the reason I'm picking Liberty, one, is because they're returning, y'all, their superstar quarterback, Caden Salter. Y'all know what he did last year, dual threat quarterback. He threw for 32 touchdowns. He ran for another like 1,000, almost 1,100 yards on the ground. And then y'all, they're returning running back Quentin Cooley. He ran for over 1,400 yards. So Liberty has one of the best rushing attacks in all of college football, and they're returning a lot of their starters on defense. And we know this is a team last year, y'all, that won Conference USA. They really surprised us. You know, I like their head coach, Jamie Chadwell. We know what he did when he was at Coastal Carolina. When I look at Liberty, y'all, they have the easiest schedule out of all those group of 5 teams I named. You look at Memphis, and I think Memphis is going to be really good. I almost put them here, y'all, but Memphis has to go against Florida State in about 3 weeks, and I think Memphis is going to lose that game. I see them keeping that game kind of close, but I think they're going to lose it. And y'all, I think Liberty is going to go undefeated. So I think the committee is going to take an undefeated Liberty team over a potential 1-loss Memphis team or a 1-loss Boise State team or a 1-loss Texas State team. So that's why I have Liberty making it. But I really think Liberty, y'all, is going to be great once again. I think they're going to be even better because, again, they're bringing basically everyone back. And their superstar quarterback, y'all, Caden Salter, I'm telling y'all, that young man, I think it's going to be in the Heisman discussion. I know Liberty, they're playing in small conference, you know, in Conference USA, but I really do believe he's going to be in the Heisman conversation because I think they're going to be undefeated once again. All right, y'all, at number 11, I have Oklahoma State making the playoffs, and this is probably going to surprise a lot of y'all. When I look at Oklahoma State, y'all, to me, their schedule is pretty easy. You know, we know now the Big 12, I mean, it's just a lot of teams that are the Big 12 now. But honestly, y'all, I feel like Oklahoma State caught a break with their schedule because you look at, they only have to face 2 really good teams, and that's Utah and Kansas State. You know, everybody else in the schedule is fairly easy. They face BYU, Baylor, Arizona State, TCU, Texas Tech, you know, and then that out-of-conference schedule, they got Arkansas and Tulsa and South Dakota. Y'all, I'm not worried about any of those teams. I feel like Oklahoma State should at least be a 10-win team, and I think that would be good enough to get them to the playoffs. There's a chance, y'all, they're going to play for a Big 12 championship game. And if they were to win that game, they would definitely be in it. But even if they lose that game and they finish, like I said, 10-2 or 10-3, I still think they would be enough to get them in. But y'all, obviously, I feel like Oklahoma State has the best running back in the country, Ollie Gordon II. They bring back their quarterback, Alan Bowman. Now, I know last year he was very up and down, right? He threw for 15 touchdowns, but he also threw for 14 interceptions. So if they can get more from that pass game, it would be great. But y'all, it should be easy because you look at that wide receiver that they have, Brendan Presley. I think he's one of the best receivers in the country, maybe the best receiver in the Big 12. So I think Oklahoma State, their offense is going to be high powered. Their defense, y'all, have question marks about their secondary. Last year, Oklahoma State had one of the worst passing defenses in the nation. But if their secondary can be a little bit better with this offense, I think, y'all, again, a 10-2 or 10-3 record is going to be good enough to get Oklahoma State into the playoffs. All right, y'all. At number 10, I have the Missouri Tigers making the playoffs. And we know last season, y'all, Missouri, They surprised everyone, right? They won 11 games. They beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. No one saw that coming, y'all. And now Missouri looks like a team, in my opinion, y'all, that should be a serious threat in the SEC, right? No one, they're not sneaking up on anybody like they did last year, right? We know that Missouri's a really great team. Last year, we didn't have high expectations. Now we do, so they're not sneaking up on anybody. But y'all, I think they're gonna be able to handle that pressure because they returning Brady Cook, y'all, and Luther Burden. I think that's one of the best quarterback wide receiver combinations in college football. I feel like Luther Burden, y'all, is the best wide receiver in college football. Man, he's so explosive, so dynamic with the football in his hands, and he has great contested catch ability. Brady Cook is a really elite quarterback, y'all. And yes, they did lose Cody Schrader, their star running back, to the draft this year. But, y'all, they're bringing in Marcus Carroll, former running back for the Georgia State Panthers. And last season for Georgia State, y'all, he ran for over 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns. So I'm not concerned about their running game. Now, their defense does have a couple of question marks, particularly in the secondary. They lost Ennis Rakestraw Jr., Chris Abrams drained also to the NFL draft, y'all. So they're going to have to find a way to replace those guys. But I really love their defensive line. I think they have good depth up there. And I just feel like when you look at Missouri, when you have the playmakers that they have offensively, and they don't really have a tough schedule. I mean, yes, they play Texas A&M on the road. Yes, they play Alabama on the road, and then they play Oklahoma at home. But, y'all, I'm going to be honest. We don't know what Alabama's going to be. Texas A&M is still kind of a mystery as well because they got a new head coach, Mike Elko, and we have to see what they're going to look like offensively because we know Texas A&M was a joke last year offensively. And then Oklahoma, y'all, I mean, let's be honest. Do any of us really think that Brent Venables is that great of a head coach? Because I don't. So I could easily see Missouri either being 10-2 or 11-1, and that would definitely be good enough to get them into the playoffs. Y'all, I really like Missouri. I could see them potentially going to the SEC championship game, but I'm not ready, to say they will because the SEC is so stacked this year, now having Texas a part of this conference. But Missouri's going to be a great team, y'all. Like I said, should be even better than what they were last year. And the number 9, y'all, I have Penn State. And finally, Penn State gets into the college football playoff. Y'all, this will be a major disappointment if Penn State does not get to the college football playoff. We know they've really been close probably since like 2019. The problem is they have not been able to get over the hump, y'all. That hump has been called Ohio State and Michigan. But fortunately, y'all, for Penn State, because 12 teams are going to make the college football playoff, and because Penn State is a pretty solid team, and also because they don't have to face Michigan this year, they should be able to make the playoffs. Now, they still face Ohio State, and they do have to play USC on the road, and they also play Wisconsin. They actually play USC, y'all, then Wisconsin, then Ohio State. So they play those teams back to back to back. So it's going to be a tough little three-game stretch for them. But, y'all, Penn State, this is a very good team, especially defensively. Drew Aller, their quarterback, he has to be better, y'all, because last year he threw for 25 touchdowns to 2 picks, right? So very good numbers in terms of the touchdown to interception ratio. But, y'all, he only completed 60% of his passes, and he only threw for 202 yards per game. And for Penn State to really become that elite level team, they have to be able to put pressure on defenses through the air. Yes, they have one of the best, maybe the best running back duo in the nation, y'all. They got, Nicholas Singleton. I really like Nicholas Singleton. I feel like they need to give him the ball a little bit more this year. And then they also have Katron Allen, y'all. He ran for over 900 yards for Penn State last season. So I really love their running back duo. Again, Drew Allen, really good touchdown interception ratio, but he has to become more efficient, and Penn State has to be able to just put more pressure on the defense through the air, y'all, because we know what Penn State has defensively. I mean, they probably have the best edge rusher of college football, Abdul Carter. I think he's going to explode off the scene. Last year, he only had 4.5 sacks. I think he'll have double-digit sacks this year for them, y'all. So when I look at Penn State, just a really well-rounded team, but it's going to come down to their quarterback in this passing game if they can truly be an elite team. But they should still be a 10-win team. And this year, again, fortunately for them, now that it's a 12-team playoff, there should be enough, y'all, to get them into the playoffs with a good 10-2 record. So I have Penn State going to the playoffs. All right, y'all, number 8, I got Notre Dame going to the playoffs. And we know the first couple of years on Marcus Freeman, they've been good, but they haven't been great. But, y'all, I truly think this is the year that they can be great. They bring in Riley Leonard, former quarterback for Duke. I'm a big Riley Leonard fan, y'all. And they also bring in Chris Mitchell, former wide receiver for the FIU Panthers. Last season, y'all, he had over 1,100 yards for FIU. So I really like that. And also 7 touchdowns. And they also bring in Bo Collins, former wide receiver for the Clemson Tigers, y'all. He had over 500 yards for Clemson last season. And Notre Dame, again, kind of similar to Penn State. Great defense, y'all. I'm talking about great defense. You can even make a case Notre Dame might have the best secondary in the country. They have Xavier Watts at safety, y'all. Benjamin Morrison at corner. I think Benjamin Morrison is probably the second best corner, or maybe the third best corner in college football behind Travis Hunter and Will Johnson, y'all. But when I look at Notre Dame, I just feel like this is a team that it's time to do it, right? It's time to go to the playoffs, but it's time to be a serious contender. Not just go to the playoffs, for a feel-good story like, yeah, we're in the playoffs. No, y'all. I feel like it's really time for Notre Dame to make some noise and prove themselves to be a championship contender like I know they can be, because they definitely have the defense to do so. Now it's just up to, can Riley Leonard play the way he did for Duke, which I think he will, and he has a better team around him, better skill position players around him. So I expect Notre Dame, y'all. I can see Notre Dame winning 11 games. I know you're like, well, Zay, how can you see them winning 11 games and only have them ranked, or only have them as a number 8 seed in the playoffs? Because, y'all, I'm telling you, this playoffs is probably going to be super competitive. But I do, like I said, I do think Notre Dame could win 11 games, but they'll definitely be a 10-win team, and that would be good enough to get them into the playoffs. And watch out for Notre Dame, y'all, because, again, if Riley Leonard and this offense can get things going, Notre Dame has a chance to win it all. Coming in at number 7, y'all, we have the Texas Longhorns. And obviously, Texas, y'all, we know what they did last season, making it to the college football playoff. And, y'all, I expect Texas to be really good again. Now, they're going to be as great as they were last year. We'll have to see. Obviously, they don't have Xavier Worthy anymore, and they no longer have Jonathan Brooks at running back. So those are two huge, those were two big pieces that they had offensively that they no longer have. But, y'all, they still have Kelvin Banks Jr., the best left tackle, probably just the best tackle in college football. Man, he's going to be a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And, y'all, this D-line, man, the depth is insane. They got Ethan Burke, they got Trey Moore, and then up in the middle, y'all, they got big man Alfred Collins. I really love Texas defensive line. I love their pass rush. And then we know they still got Quinn Ewers at quarterback, y'all. And a lot of people thought that Arch Manning was going to become the starting quarterback, but, Quinn Ewers was able to edge him out for that spot. And then at running back, they got Jaden Blue. Now, let's see what Jaden Blue can do. I'm kind of rhyming. Let's see what he can do, though, y'all, because last season he didn't really play that much. Now he's going to be their starting running back. So let's see if Texas can still have an efficient running game. But again, I love their defense, especially the defense line. I love their quarterback. Now they do have a really young group of receivers. They bring in Isaiah Bond. If that name sounds familiar, y'all, it's because he's a former wide receiver for Alabama. They also have Silas Bowden, and they have Jonte Cook II. So they have a lot of young guys, kind of unproven guys at wide receiver. But we know Steve Sarkisian, man, he's always finding ways to scheme up his wide receivers to get open looks. So I think Texas is going to have an explosive offense. I think their defense is going to be even better. And I expect Texas, y'all, to be a major contender during this college football season. All right, y'all, getting into the top 6. Starting out, we got the Ole Miss Rebels. And, y'all, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Ole Miss. Seriously, I really do believe that. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Ole Miss. Give a lot of credit, y'all, to Lane Kiffin and the way he's been able to build this program. Remember, when Lane Kiffin got there, Ole Miss was a mess. And now I feel like they're one of the best teams, y'all, in college football. And it's really because Lane Kiffin has used the transfer portal, y'all, to his advantage. I mean, look at the guys that he was able to bring in this year, y'all. Rashad Amos, former running back for the Miami Redhawks. Last year for Miami, he had almost 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. And remember, they needed to find an adequate replacement after Quishon Judkins. He left them to join the Ohio State Buckeyes. So it was really a great move by Lane Kiffin to bring in Rashad Amos. You look at wide receiver, y'all, they bring in Antoine Wells Jr. Now, I know last year, Antoine, he didn't get to play that much for the South Carolina Gamecocks, but he was injured. The year before that, y'all, in 2022, he had almost 1,000 yards. So I can't wait to see what he does within Lane Kiffin's offense. And then they also bring in y'all former Utah State Aggies wide receiver Micah Davis. And Micah, he had almost 700 yards and 6 touchdowns for Utah State last year. And then we know all the depth that Ole Miss now has on that defensive line and in that secondary. So when I look at Ole Miss, y'all, quarterback Jackson Dart, really underrated playmaker. I think he's a better runner than he is thrower, but with these new and improved weapons, I think he has a chance to become a better thrower of the football. And then y'all, you also look at Ole Miss schedule. I know a lot of people think the Ole Miss schedule is like really, really grueling. I mean, outside of Georgia, y'all, I don't think it's that bad. Yes, they go and and face LSU, and obviously that's going to be a very, very tough game playing at Tiger Stadium at night. But then they play Oklahoma, and again, y'all, I just don't think Brett Venables is that great of a head coach. So there's a chance that Ole Miss finishes 11-1. Maybe they go undefeated. No, I'm joking, because I think Georgia will beat them. But y'all, there's a strong chance that Ole Miss finishes 11-1, and they will make the playoffs. But their schedule is super easy. They don't have to face Alabama. They don't have to. They don't have to face Texas. So that's the great news. No Alabama and no Texas for Ole Miss. If they have to face either one of those teams, I'll probably be a little bit more concerned about Ole Miss. But they don't even get those teams, and their biggest, competition is Georgia. Again, not really concerned about Oklahoma. Then LSU, we still have to see, because obviously LSU is replacing a lot of their guys from last year's team. So I think Ole Miss, y'all, they're going to run the tape, but they're going to have a phenomenal year. I like the Ole Miss Rebels to make the playoffs. All right, y'all, at number 5, we got the Oregon Ducks. And when I look at Oregon, y'all, I think Oregon probably has the best defensive line in the country, man. I mean, they are just so stacked, y'all, on that D line. Just a bunch of nasty, gritty dudes. Shout out to their head coach, Dan Lanning. He just always finds a way to get these incredible defensive linemen. That's why, last season, y'all, they had so much success. Remember that game against Colorado? And I picked Colorado to upset Oregon. And then I soon realized, I quickly realized that y'all, Oregon was just different because of all the interior pressure they could get from their defensive line and the way their offensive line can just move people out of the way. This year, y'all, they have former Oklahoma Sooners quarterback Dylan Gabriel as their new quarterback, this was a great move for Oregon. Because obviously they lost Bo Nix in the NFL draft. And Dylan Gabriel, y'all, I think he's just a really good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's really accurate. Last year, he completed over 69% of his passes. And I think he's playing on a better team. I think Oregon is definitely a better team. They have better weapons than Oklahoma, y'all. So when I look at Oregon, and I know they're playing in the Big Ten, right? And I know everyone's going to bring up, obviously, Ohio State in the Big Ten. But, y'all, when I look at Oregon, though, I think this team has a great shot of going undefeated. Let me repeat. I think Oregon has a great shot of going undefeated. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No, because I do think they're going to lose to Ohio State. But they have a great shot, y'all, because this schedule is super easy. I mean, they play Michigan, but again, Michigan, new head coach. They're like Alabama, new head coach, right? We have to see how things are going to be run within that program now. So I'm not really, ready to hype up Michigan too much. And then when I look at the rest of Oregon's schedule, I mean, Wisconsin, I guess that's their second biggest game next to Ohio State. But I mean, other than that, they play Oregon State, UCLA, Michigan State, Purdue, Illinois. I mean, y'all, this schedule is really easy. And so because of that, I think Oregon, like I said, they have a strong chance of going undefeated. And if they do, wow, y'all, if Oregon goes undefeated and they're able to beat Ohio State, then I think you have to make a case for Oregon being the best team in college football. Again, I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State, but I do think Oregon is going to finish 11-1. That's going to be good enough to get them into the college football playoff, y'all. Potentially get them into the Big 12, the Big 10 championship game, depending on what happens with Penn State. Right now, I will say I think Oregon will go to the Big 10 championship game and play Ohio State. But nevertheless, y'all, Oregon is going to be in the college football playoff without a doubt. All right, at 4, y'all, I had the Miami Hurricanes, and yes, I know a lot of people saying, Zay, why are you doing this? Because Miami, they have let us down for the past 2 decades. Zay, we've been hyping up Miami for so many years now, and they continue to do absolutely nothing. But y'all, and you can call me crazy if you want to, but I think this is the year Miami's finna get things turned around, y'all, because now they have a legitimate, y'all can see the energy in my voice. They have a legitimate star quarterback, man, in Cam Ward, former quarterback for the Washington State Cougars, y'all. And wow, Cam Ward is a bad man. We know he throws for a ton of yards. He's really efficient. There were times at Washington State where he probably did a little too much, but that's because he had to, y'all, because they didn't have a good defense. Well, you look at Miami. Miami does have a pretty good defense, particularly up front, y'all. They have Elijah Austin, Ruben Bain Jr. Ruben, last year as a freshman, he had 7.5 sacks, which that's really impressive for a freshman to do that. So I think Ruben Bain Jr., again, Elijah Austin, I think they're going to lead that way for that Miami defense, particularly, y'all, Miami, their secondary is super young. But when you have a great defensive line, sometimes it can cover up for a lackluster secondary. And then you look at the weapons that Miami possesses offensively, y'all. I mean, I really love it. They have Damian Martinez, a running back transfer from Oregon State, y'all. He ran for almost 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. And then they also have they also have Jacoby George at wide receiver. They have Xavier Restrepo at wide receiver. I mean, that's a great duo right there. Xavier, he had over 1,000 yards last year. Jacoby George, I think he had about 930 yards for them last year. So when you look at Miami, very balanced football team, y'all. And now, though, they have a legitimate quarterback. We know, for whatever reason, Tyler Van Dyke, he was super inconsistent for them, y'all. And I just think because of improved quarterback play, Miami's going to be able to take that next up. But this is a huge year, y'all, for Mario Cristobal. I will not lie about that. This is a huge year for him. He has to get it done, okay? He's out of excuses. Mario Cristobal is out of excuses. You have your quarterback. You have a pretty solid defense. You got really good playmakers. It's time to get this thing done. And, y'all, when you look at Miami's schedule, it's not the toughest, right? I mean, the toughest opponent they will be playing, y'all, is Florida State. Right now, they do play Louisville on the road. We got to see if Louisville can beat the team that they were last year. But y'all, if you're Miami, you got to love this. You don't have to play Clemson. You don't got to play SMU. You have to play NC State. So there's no excuse. You got an easy schedule, a great quarterback. It's time to get it done. And y'all, again, you call me crazy if you want to, but I just feel like Miami is going to be in the playoffs. I have them winning the ACC, y'all, and I think this is going to be one of the best teams in college football. All right, y'all, now the top 3. And then number 3, y'all, I have Utah. And when I look at Utah, it's a really easy pick for me. Easy pick. Not only, y'all, do I think Utah is going to win the Big 12, but I also think they're going to have the best defense in the nation. We know their head coach, y'all, Kyle Whittingham, who's been there since 2005. Every single season, Utah has one of the better defenses in the country. And I'm going on record saying I think they will have the best defense in the country. And not only that, y'all, not only that, but I think a lot of people are failing to realize about this Utah team is that they get their quarterback back, Cam Rising, who I think is a very underrated quarterback. Y'all, when he was healthy, his last healthy season, which was in 2022, he threw for nearly 3,100 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, and he ran for another 6 touchdowns on the ground. So he had 32 total touchdowns in 2022. I'm telling y'all, Utah is going to be an elite team. An elite team. I see them again. Y'all, I have them winning the Big 12. I think this team is that great. Last year, they probably could have won the Pac-12 if it wasn't for Cam Rising being injured. And y'all, quarterback play really matters. Okay, it really does. Now, it's not the end all be all, but trust me, having a really good quarterback, it matters. Okay, and I think they do have a really good quarterback. Very underrated. Like I said, very underrated. And with that defense, y'all, that defense is going to make a ton of noise. That defense is going to make a ton of noise. Again, I think they're going to be the best defense in the country. And I think now that Cam Rising is back, Utah is going to be a better offensive team. So I like Utah, y'all, to make the college football playoff, but not only make it, be a top 3 seed. And now, y'all, there were 2 remaining. And at number 2, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Y'all, I think this is Ryan Day's best team. Let me repeat. I think this is Ryan Day's best team. Now, I will say this. I don't love their quarterback situation. Will Howard, y'all, former quarterback for the Kansas State Wildcats, man. I feel like I've been watching this dude forever. Seriously, I feel like he's been playing college football forever. Really solid dual threat quarterback. But y'all, I think he's a better runner than he is a passer. And when you look at Ohio State, the last several years, they have not been used to this because Ohio State has had very explosive passing offenses. Well, y'all, they're going to undergo a significant change because they will not be like that. Now, their ground game is going to be insane. Will Howard, maybe the best running quarterback in the country, and obviously, y'all, man, now they have who I believe is the best running back in the country, Quinshon Judkins, right? Former running back for the Ole Miss Rebels, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. Now, Travion Henderson, y'all, he's going to be their backup running back. So that's a phenomenal duo. Their wide receiver core, I don't love it. But the reason I'm super high on Ohio State, y'all, is that defense. And particularly because they have the best safety in the country. Caleb Downs, y'all, former safety for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And it was so crazy because, I mean, y'all, Ohio State landed arguably the two best transfer guys in the transfer portal, and Quinshon Judkins and Caleb Downs, right? So they went to the SEC again. Quinshon Judkins used to play for Ole Miss, and Caleb Downs used to play for Alabama. So it's kind of funny how they went to the SEC to find these superstar players. But I do think this is, like I said, I do think this is Ryan Day's best team because this is his most complete team. Now, again, he's obviously had better quarterbacks when he had C.J. Stroud. He's had better wide receivers with Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr., right? But this is the best all-around team, y'all, he's ever had. And so because of that, I think it's going to translate well on the field for Ohio State. And I have them making the college football playoff, y'all, being the number 2 seed. And then there was one, y'all. I think y'all know who this one is going to be. It's them Bulldogs, baby, the Georgia Bulldogs, y'all. The best team, in my opinion, in college football. Bringing back Carson Beck, y'all, who's, probably a top 5 quarterback in college football. But it's that defense, y'all. Malachi Starks, man. I think Caleb Downs is a little bit better than him, but I think Malachi Starks is the second best safety in college football, y'all. Dane Jackson at corner, elite, right? And then you look at Julian Humphrey, y'all. Solid, not great, but then the guy I really love out of all those guys in this Georgia secondary, y'all, is Ellis Robinson, their 5-star corner. I can't wait to see what he does this year for them. So when I look at Georgia, hey, we know Georgia, they're not going to play the flashiest style of football, right? Very physical, hardcore defense. But, y'all, they probably got the second best defense behind Utah, in my opinion, in college football. They got a top 5 quarterback in college football. They got a top 5 secondary in college football. And they arguably have the best coach in college football, Kirby Smart. So, y'all, what's all that equal to? The best team in college football. And because of that, again, y'all, I think Georgia, they're just going to run the table. Even though the SEC is obviously better now because of Texas and I guess because of Oklahoma, if you want to throw them in there, y'all, I just still feel like Georgia is head and shoulders above everybody. And I know this schedule is not the easiest. They got to face Alabama on the road. They got to face Texas on the road. They got to face Ole Miss on the road. And then they got Tennessee at home. But, y'all, even if they lose one of those games, I still think Georgia's going to win the SEC championship. So they're still going to get in. And I think they're going to be the number 1 seed. But with that being said, y'all, it is time to give y'all my college football championship winner. Y'all, the college football championship game is being played in Atlanta. Hot Atlanta, man. A-Town, stay down, y'all. And there's no way in the world that I can go against this team right here.
Boston Dogs, reppin' big for UGA. Won it all, champions of the NCAA.
Bulldogs, bulldozing, in control of the game. Throw your hands in the air, UGA bout to go crazy. ESPN, tell them all we do is win. Have a parade, tip your hat to the champion.
You know I'ma celebrate my dogs to the end. What? Georgia, we shining, you know that we get lit.
Okay. I got Georgia on my mind every day. Putting on for UGA.
Touchdown, celebrate. I'm a dog, what can I say?
Had a dream about some dogs, reppin' big for UGA.
Throw your hands in the air, we about to go crazy.
ESPN, tell them all we do is win.
Georgia, we shining, you know that we get lit. Won it all, champions of the NCAA.
Throw your hands in the air, UGA bout to go crazy.
Hey, yeah, y'all. I got the Georgia Bulldogs winning the national championship, y'all. I just look at this team, and again, like I said a few minutes ago, I just think they are head and shoulders above everybody. And with them having, again, top 5 quarterback, top 5 defense, top 5 secondary, y'all, arguably the best coach in college football, I think that's going to translate to another championship for the Georgia Bulldogs, man. So there y'all have it. There's my 2024 college football playoff predictions, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I see a couple of comments coming in from our man John. Give me the 100s facts. He said, "Hey, I got Ohio State winning it, but it will be close." Yes, sir. Yeah, it definitely will be, man. I mean, hey, I totally understand why you have Ohio State winning it. I actually have them playing Georgia in the national championship game. And I'll go ahead and give y'all my score prediction. I think Georgia's going to beat Ohio State 34-31. That's my prediction. Yeah, it's going to be a super close game. But yeah, man, I mean, this college football season, y'all, I feel like it's going to be one of the more competitive ones we had in a while because there are a lot of great teams, not just Georgia. It's Ohio State, it's Oregon, it's Texas, it's Ole Miss. Then you got teams like this on the come up, y'all, that's trying to prove, themselves, like Missouri, even like still Tennessee, Miami, they're trying to make a comeback. Texas A&M. So there's a lot of great teams, and even like sneaky teams like NC State and USC. So I'm very, very excited for this college football season, man. I'm gonna try to keep y'all, updated with everything that goes on during this college football season as best I can. Tomorrow, y'all, we have Florida State taking on Georgia Tech. They'll be playing that game in Ireland. I have Florida State winning that game, y'all. But I do name Georgia Tech. I'm gonna say Georgia State. I do name Georgia Tech covers though. Florida State, y'all. Oh my gosh, Florida State. They're favored by 10.5 points, but I don't think they're gonna win by more than 10. So again, I have Florida State winning, but I have Georgia Tech covering. Yeah, that's really the only notable game tomorrow. Because I mean, we got Montana State taking on New Mexico. Nobody really cares about that. We got SMU taking on Nevada. Again, nobody really cares. And then we have Hawaii taking on Delaware State. Again, y'all, nobody cares. But for the one ranked game, again, Florida State, Georgia Tech, y'all be coming on 11 on ESPN. So, yeah, I'll probably be watching that game. Actually, yeah, I definitely will be watching that game. And hopefully y'all be watching that game as well because it should be a pretty good game. But there y'all have it, man. That was another episode of the ZayMoolah Sports Podcast. Remember, y'all, laughter is good medicine. So what? Make sure you get your daily dose. Y'all know I'm in it, man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.